One moment. There's a little bit of a I'm kind of new at this, so I'm testing things. Let me just see. Can y'all hear me? All right. That's good to know with the microphone. Okay. Audio. Okay, now it should be picking me up. Hello, hello? Dang it. Huh. All right. Maybe now. Maybe we've got audio. Nope. No audio. All right. Testing again. Why is nothing working? Okay. Still nothing. Hello? So apparently the audio is working. I don't know why it's not playing back on the other devices I was checking things on to make sure everything is running smoothly. Because I'm like, I don't want y'all to not enjoy, and not be able to hear anything. Anyway, this is my first time streaming, if y'all aren't aware of that already by all the stupid problems I have. Yeah, I try. It's not on mute. I don't know why I'm not hearing it when I play it on my end, but I guess if everything is working, I was also going to stream to Facebook, so I might as well see about getting that turned on as well now. So I guess I'm just going to give it a shot and hope it goes well. Live video. Alright, broadcast details. Oh yeah, you know what I forgot I was gonna do? I forgot, I was gonna also do some pendulum readings. So give me a second, I'm gonna go run and get that and then pick back up. Alright, I am back, and now that we know that the audio is actually working, let's give this a go. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Now streaming Facebook Live. Yeah, my widgets aren't working either, apparently. See, I'm looking over here like, oh, those are some sad little widgets. Do. Trying to make sure I can actually see all the chats. Come on, little widgets. Alright, there we go. That's slightly better. Okay. So, as y'all know, this is my first time streaming. I'm currently streaming to both Twitch and Facebook Live, so I'm just kind of trying to make sure everything runs smoothly. Never done this before. I just figured I'd give it a shot, have a little fun with you guys, and see how it goes. I am going to do a few readings. I have my pendulum with me, so I can do a little practice pendulum reading, and I have a couple of decks that I wanted to kind of share. I'm a big fan of the Uzi decks. I guess that's how you say the publisher. But I brought, I have the Supra, which, okay, the book's, oh, there we go. Hit a little bit of light. That's the book for the Supra deck, and the Pagan Otherworlds. So I haven't used the Supra at all, but I was really excited to get it because it's completely and totally based in Jungian psychology. So yeah, I'm probably going to be referring to the book a good bit to go through that one, since it's new to me and I just wanted to share it with y'all. And I just wanted to let you know that typically kind of what I'm going to try to do when I do the live streaming is try to pick decks that I don't use very often, that I'm not as familiar with, or just decks that I want to share with everyone for various reasons. It took me so long to get this figured out and set up that my incense has already gone out. How is that? So I'm going to throw a couple more sticks. So what I'm going to do for the reading portion, though, instead of like just taking requests, what I'm going to do is when I'm ready to do readings, I'm going to announce, like, to enter that you're interested in a reading then, and at that point I'm going to write down the first 3 names, and I will do those readings as we go along, and the next time I'm ready for another 3 names, I'll let y'all know. And so yeah, basically I do it that way just to kind of keep from having the running people coming in and just jumping. Trying to get on a long list, and it's really hard to keep up with all of that and keep up with a stream. So yeah, 3 at a time kind of thing. Alright. Sorry, and my chair is really creaky, and I know a lot of people have the cool background music and stuff like that. I am not that advanced, and I have not figured out the nifty background music. Eventually I will. And maybe next time I will pick out a chair that doesn't creak every single time that I move. Alright, so now we got some incense again, because I like having the incense. Alright, so if you're here, just shoot something in chat, and let me know that you're here and you're ready to whatever. The first deck I'm going to work with is the Super deck, the one that I mentioned that I hadn't gotten a chance to use, that's Jungian. When they send it, it comes in these cute little bags, really adorable. And gotta work on my lighting, sorry guys. I don't know if you can see the box that they send it in, really beautiful. And I'm really sad that I haven't had a reason to work with these cards pretty much at all yet, because I really loved working with the Pagan Otherworlds. And I don't have a lot of time to sit and relearn new decks and stuff all the time. So sometimes when I get a new deck, it kind of just sits there until I have time for it. But just the artwork in these is, I love how simplistic, you know, it's not colored, it's basically grayscale, and each and every card is something straight out of Jungian psychology. It's one of several archetypes, which I think is going to lead to some really, really, in-depth readings, and it's going to really up my psychology game, because I enjoy that side of things. So I don't know how well y'all enjoy looking at this deck. Yeah, I'm trying to get used to doing stuff on here before I start trying to get on YouTube. This would be really embarrassing if this was my first YouTube video, huh? I'm not particularly good at this. I love this little deck. And if y'all don't mind sharing that I'm live to like your page or whatever to you know, bring a few people in, that would be really awesome. That's really beautiful. I wonder though, like how reversals would ultimately end up working with this deck. One of the cards I really enjoy, which is almost perfect, is there's nothing, and there's literally nothing on the card. But then it's got a really cute, it covers, let's see. You know, I'm sure you're familiar with like the Myers-Briggs personality, you know, sensation, perception, intuition, all of that. They have, there's 2 of them, and then if I dig through here, I can find the rest. But all together, they form, and there's 2 more that go to the top. But here's sensation and intuition, and it forms kind of a picture all together. Oh, here we go. Here's thinking and feeling. Which I really enjoy that. But yeah, I've kind of been stuck at home for the past few days, so I've just had plenty of time to actually finally set things up for my stream and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead, and if anybody wants a reading with the Supra Oracle deck, go ahead and hit me up. The first 3 people that I see in the chat, whether it's Facebook or Twitch, I'm going to do them for their reading. So just let's try this deck out. Let's take it for a test drive. Anybody? Go ahead. Any questions? Supra Oracle deck is what I'm going to do your reading with. Just hit me up in the chat. First 3 people to say they want a reading. Just let me know. Oh, Papaya. Papaya wants one. Alright, Papaya. I'm going to put you down on my list. Anybody else? 2 more people want a reading with the Supra? Go ahead with what, do you have a question, Papaya, or do you just want to like a general reading? And you know, just to warn you, like I'm using the Super deck for this one, so I am going to be referring to the book a good bit. first time using it, but you know, it's fun to take it on a little test drive and see what kind of results we get with it. How can liven my relationship? Okay, that's a good question. All right. You know, I'm going to start simple, and I'm just going to do one card, and then if I need clarification, go from there. Because I feel like that is kind of a straightforward. Oh, it shuffles really well, by the way, guys. And I'm one of those casino style. I'm a ruffler. I do that, and then somebody is pushing buttons on something. Well, I just discovered why the litter box hasn't been working properly. Alright, so yeah, I'm that person. Throw the cards everywhere, make a mess person. Alright, so Papayah's question. And I always just shuffle until I feel like then I'll lay the card out. So let's see what we got here. Alright, so the card that I pulled for you, Papayah, for your question of how you can liven your relationship up, was gentleness. So let's see what the book has to say about that. Gentleness. Yeah, and I love the way the book is. It's got picture of the card and a cute little paragraph, easy, quick. So keywords with this one is kindness, acceptance, connection, love, and care. Which kind of with a question like livening up a relationship kind of surprises me that you would get a card about gentleness, because normally, you know, there's something, you know, more passionate related. But according to the book, gentleness is a life that we cherish for another in our hearts. It is the emotional discovery of ourself and the world around us at its center and as a whole that leads to a powerful convergence of the totality of our being with all being. Our life is tied to all life, and the lines of destiny become shared in hope and inspiration against distress, alienation, and waste. It is an emotion beyond logic and is the secret handshake of the divine. Okay, so I can kind of see where that card is going with that then. So it's kind of saying that maybe what you need to liven things up isn't necessarily like to spice it up, but to maybe reach that next spiritual level with your partner. Like maybe the relationship needs a little, to find a new level of depth. So, I mean, relationships are constantly growing, and I don't know how long you and your boyfriend have been together, but sometimes things do start getting a little bit stale, and you feel like you've already had these conversations a million times, and there's just not much more to talk about, right? But at that point, I guess that's when you go deeper, and it's not as much about, you know, finding things outwardly to talk about or outwardly to spice things up, but to find things, deeper depths of each other and getting closer and more in tune and one with each other at a spiritual level. You know, if you can share on something along those lines. Does that help? Oh, I have a mobile live dashboard. What? I had no idea. I just got a notification. I'm glad that resonates. Oh, so, and that's actually was surprising. I don't know. So I was actually very surprised by that card, and I'm glad that that fits. Does anyone else have a question? Whether on Facebook, those of you on Facebook that are watching, anyone on Twitch, if you have a question, let me know. I'm going to take 2 more people with the super deck until I move on to working with some other stuff. But anyway, to talk a little while I wait for somebody to come through if they want a question, I'll talk a little bit more about my setup. Usually when I do readings, I don't normally do it in this space. I've just set up here because it's where my desk is, obviously. Oh, yeah, I have assistants. If you would like to meet my assistants, come here. Come here. Yeah. Oh, there is someone else that's been on screen with us this whole time, but she's just been hiding down below. This is Cricket. Say hi, Cricket. Cricket likes to help with tarot readings. And I have another one that usually helps as well, but she's not in here, surprisingly. Okay, so hey, all right, we got a question from Popeyes and Chicken. Yes, very fluffy. So what do you need to know at this moment in regards to your life path? Okay, I'm gonna do one card again as well, since I'm still kind of new with this deck. Keep it simple, because obviously I'm going to have to read from the book and then go from there. Because even though I'm somewhat familiar with my Jungian archetypes, it's been a while, I'm a little bit rusty, and it's kind of an area I've been wanting to study a bit more, which is specifically why I purchased this deck. I'm a little bit of a collector, and sometimes I get mad at myself for having too many decks, just because it's kind of like, there's always this argument among tarot readers about whether it's best to have many decks or just one or two. And for the longest time, welcome back, now that I let her participate, she's like, I'm all in. Have many, such as those of us that are collectors tend to do. And it's kind of the difference between having one really close friend and having a huge group of friends that you hang out with. You tend to end up knowing a little bit about all of them, but none of them really deeply. Whereas when you have that one close friend, you end up getting to know it really well. So I've kind of been stepping back and just working with a few of my decks and then spending time with these other ones when I get a chance. So, let's see. Alright, Popeyes and Chicken, what I pulled for your question is Psyche. Alright. This is really cool because it's kind of got that imagery of the moon with a lot of clouds kind of obscuring the moon to some degree. And then it almost looks like, like the Oracle of Delphi kind of thing. Like, oh, cute cat. Oh, sweetheart. Oh, she got her paw stuck. Silly thing, sorry. And it's almost got that Oracle of Delphi type thing, and you can almost look, and she appears blind, because her eyes are just, solid white. So I'm gonna take some guesses of where the card is going before I read from the book. But I know in tarot, the moon is usually, your internal self, and getting to things that are hidden and obscured. So I think that's something. It's going to have something to do with your inner working. So let's find Psyche. Let's see what it says. Psyche. Alright, so the key words with this one is accomplishment, becoming, significant, and elevation. Somewhere in the ancient history of humanity, our minds sensed another timeless mind. It whispered to us through the soft breeze as we sat in the tender grass, thinking how good it was. Nature was enough, and summoned us away with its dark nocturnal love, promising to take us to the ultimate heights of our being, and Psyche was born. Alright, so if I were to kind of put that into the context of life purpose, um, this is also, it's like a self-exploration here, huh? And I guess that makes sense since it is the supra and it's, archetypes. Um, anyway, I kind of see this as yet another journey of self-discovery, of going internal, because the moon is very much an internal thing, and it's getting kind of in touch with your intuition, which if you think about intuition, getting it, okay, you are such a goofball. Okay, this one, even though she looks really big, is a kitten. She's not even a year old yet. So she's very enthusiastic. She hasn't learned how to be the gentle tarot assistant that the other cat is. So anyway, anyway, so getting in touch with intuition, like it spoke about getting in touch with the greater mind. It's getting in touch with a higher being, something outside of yourself, but it's inside of yourself to get there. The spiral journey. I don't know if you're follow more of an occult path or another, but I've got fur in my nose. Sorry, that's why I keep doing this. Now that she's gotten up here, I keep getting I've got fur stuck to me. But it's that spiral journey of going deep inside to reach something higher. So I think it's telling you to find that, to start working on your intuition, to start finding your path inwards to the the greater. Here, she's about to come back. Now you can't go on the table. You can't go on the table. Oh, this is Cricket. Everything about her is just fluff and sweet. Oh, except for now I say something nice about her and she bites my fingers on camera. But anyway, I think that's what this card is telling you, is it's time to start that spiritual journey and to start finding kind of your purpose and finding something that is meaningful for you, and gives you that sense of not just like a mundane accomplishment, not the kind of feeling of accomplishment that you get when you check things off of your list, but more the sense of accomplishment that you feel when you're at peace with yourself. No, don't knock my crystals on the floor. She's so cute. If that makes any sense. So let me know if that's resonating or sitting well with you, if that makes any sense, or if I need to pull another card to help understand, get more clarification. Because for me, I know that I recently, like about a year ago, started down studying Druidry, and in the particular order that I'm a member of, I'm in OBOD, Order of Ovates, Bards, and Druids. They have a structure. So your first level is Bard, you have Ovate, and Druid. So there's there's steps, and there's a structured study, that an approach that you take to it, and each time that I make it through one of the Guers, I feel like I've had a sense of accomplishment, but it's not just, and it's a mixture of that mundane accomplishment of checking something off my list, that I've completed another study, but then also that accomplished feeling of being a little bit more at peace with myself and reaching kind of a new level of personal understanding. So you're welcome. I'm glad that resonates with you. She's being good now, but I've only got one hand until I get ready to. She's such a pretty girl. I was very happy for her to come into my home. She filled an empty spot in our home, in our little heart, because we, if any of y'all follow me on Instagram, or for those of you that are in my the Daily Tarot server, you've probably heard me talk about my cats before, and or even seen pictures. Stop biting me! Why are you being this girl? Why are you being this person? Yeah, stop that. Um, last year, my oldest cat passed away, and I told myself a million times that I was not going to get another fluffy cat, um, because of all the things that come along with it. Like just now, when I had fur all in my face, um, I promised myself I would not do that again. That it was too much work keeping up with their fur, but he was so fluffy, and it was just he was just a big ball of love. And I was like, you know what? When I get ready to get another kitty, I really want another one like another fluffy cat like him. And then she showed up as a needing to be rehomed, and it was kind of like fate. So I was like, you know what? Her new home is with me. So for some reason, this stupid widget up in the corner has never started working. Um, so if it doesn't, so I'm probably just gonna have to remove it in a second because that's really weird. I've basically removed all of my widgets at this point. I'll figure them out eventually. Maybe somebody will help me remove. There we go. No widgets. I think as far as how I can get to a piece of mind is what I... Okay. That is kind of something, but you know what? I can draw another card real quick and, see what it suggests as far as, how to start, figuring that out. Funny enough, okay, so, and this kind of confirms where I was going with the whole Psyche thing. The card that came out was Oracle. So, which is hilarious and kind of ironic because you're kind of consulting an oracle and it tells you to consult an oracle. I feel like that's one of those, you shake the magic 8 ball, please ask again later. But, I'm going to look in the book in a second, but if I were to just go off of instinct, Popeyes, I don't know if you're somebody who came in from my tarot server, which might be how you found the link, because since you're on Mixer. Sorry, stop bullying her. Stop. I don't know if y'all could hear them in the background, but the other cat is bullying Cricket now. Hey, don't do it. Be nice. Of course, I don't have anything soft to throw at him over here. Dang it. Y'all might hear a cat fight in a second. Her and her big sister do not get along. But if you're coming in from my server, I'm guessing that means that you're probably tarot reader or practicing tarot. That might be what it's saying to do, is to kind of throw yourself into that practice, and that might be the first step to leading you in the direction of what it is that is going to be the right path for you. Because I mean, for me, that was my start, was getting into tarot, and then that led me to trying other things and finding other connections and meeting other people and hearing about their tarot practice and their spiritual beliefs that they brought into their tarot practice, and hearing about other people's places that they connect their practice to other spiritual beliefs kind of started helping me find some directions about things to try out. And it's going to be a trial and error type thing. It's not going to be, oh, you instantly walk right into the practice or the system that's best for you. It might end up being a hodgepodge of things for you, but starting that first step of diving into something and then finding yourself trying it with this and trying it with that until you find the right thing, very well might be your path. So let's see real quick what the book says. You can find Oracle. I think that it actually has. Interesting thing about this book is it actually has a table of contents, but it's like a very limited one. Yeah, okay. Which makes sense because, when you're looking at a tarot book, there's a certain order that all the cards fall in. And after a while, you know exactly what that order is. So let's see, 119. But with this, it's like, what's the order? All right, so keywords is divination, sacred, meaningful, dynamic, transcend. So, okay, I actually got that one pretty good. All right, so an oracle is a way of entering into the widest dimension of life. It is a meditation on a future not yet discovered, but one we sense emerging, the irrevocable undercurrent of awakened consciousness emanating from the vital core of our being. It is the inevitable fate that lies hidden within us, circling outward from the inner storm of our being to a moment of inspired clarity that sets you on a path to your destiny. This natural phenomenon, just like a storm, cleanses the air and prepares you for the creative act of self-emergence. I really like the writing in this book as well. I really like it. It's very short and sweet. Let's see. Okay, that's really good. You drew the moon today as well. Like that's, it always like amazes me, like this, the synchronicity or whatever you call it. Just the way, you drew the moon today. You got a card that, a very prominent part of the picture is the moon, and then it's really kind of, it's very much pushing you towards that path. So I think it's kind of saying that by doing tarot, you are already starting on the right path. And oh hey, Mauricio, I think I'm saying that right. Sorry, we have another person that's watching from Facebook. Just to let you know, Mauricio, I'm going to do your reading in a second, and you're going to be the last person that I do for this deck before I move to working with something else in a second. But yeah, I think it's kind of saying that you are definitely on the right path, and that you just keep going, because just the practice of tarot in and of itself is going to help you. It helps a lot with meditation and just kind of opening your mind to something bigger than yourself. All right, so I'm going to put these back in, and Mauricio is on Facebook and has a question about love. So do you have a specific question about love, Mauricio? Like how to find love? Are you in a relationship and need help with love? Or what in relation to love are you wanting to know? Okay, so you're kind of, if someone's around, okay. So I am going to tell you the deck that I'm using right now, Mauricio. I don't know how long you've been hanging out. It's called Supra. It's the Hidden Path of an Oracle. It is a oracle deck rather than a tarot deck, and it's based in Jungian psychology, so it tends to be a little bit more personal based. So I would kind of say that it's probably, I'm going to modify your question slightly to how can you recognize if there's someone around you that's meant for you, kind of how to open your eyes to that, because it's going to give a more personal response, since it is a more psychology based deck, if that makes sense. Okay, all right, so kind of, okay, so so interesting card. For your question, I drew ego. And it almost looks like, I don't know if you know the story of Icarus, I think is his name. He flies too close to the sun and his wings melt and he, falls to his death. So I have a feeling, I almost feel like that's probably going to be a bit of a warning. Like maybe you're getting too close to something and you're letting your own desires and your own ego get in, kind of get in your way probably. So I'm just going to look it up real quick and see what the book has to say. For those of you that are just joining us, this is a deck I've never used before. I'm going to move to one that I'm more familiar with in a little bit, but I'm just kind of wanting to try the deck out with some people. So I'm kind of like seeing what my intuition gives me right off the bat, and then kind of going from there and seeing what the book has to say to kind of add to it. Ego. Oh, this one's a little bit longer too. Solar, personal, love, achievement, awareness, identity. So ego, holding its private solar vigil over our minds, our egos catch for each of us in our own way a little piece of the secret dream dreamt by the ancient anonymous soul of the universe. That eternal dream of youth, hope, joy, and peace. Our ego taps into this communal dream for personal goals, purposes, hopes, and prospects, so that we can intensify and elevate our existence on this planet. Gathering this force of creation for our own power can be a risky venture, as its heady virtues are meant to be communal, they cannot be owned. When we forget this, our psyche finds itself perilously alone, enclosed by the narrowing circle of the self. Lost, we fall away from the life-giving, mystical community of creation and disappear into the void. To access and fully utilize this power for ourselves, for our own brief moment of existence, we must stand in harmony with all of creation. In turn, this friendship will empower our imaginations to create strong identities born of love, humanity's superpower that will lead our soul to its greatest achievement, away from chaos and death, and into the eternal. So I kind of feel like, to sum it up, it's saying, put aside your ego. Put aside your own personal goals for a moment, because sometimes that can kind of get in the way of something bigger than yourself. So if you mentioned that there was someone that you're kind of liking, you might be coming on too strong to that person because you like that person. And it's hard to stop yourself when you really care about somebody. Is that sometimes if you overpower them with your own ego and your own wants and your own needs, you don't give them an opportunity to express theirs. And maybe they don't feel that way, and if they don't, then too much of your expression, or too much of you can be too much, and it can be overpowering and it can be off-putting. Or maybe they do have feelings, but if you're overpowering them too much with your own ego, you're not giving them the space they need to really explore those feelings and decide for themselves if they want to express those feelings to you. And it's hard to tell, like, hey, am I feeling this way because this person is out there with me, or am I feeling this way because this is just how I feel? So I think it's kind of saying to approach them more with less ego and more respect, and just give them the space to come to you. It's not to totally back off, but to not be too much, not to come on too strong, basically. Give them the opportunity to return your feelings. Does that make any sense? There's a little bit of a lag, so it's kind of weird because Twitch is, I think, a little bit ahead of Facebook. So like, I'm glancing over here and I'm still chatting on Facebook, but I'm sitting here and everyone who's watching on Twitch is like, why is she being quiet? And I'm just waiting for Mauricio to respond because he's still he's still listening to my explanation. I'm gonna have to get used to these little buffering differences. Okay, so Mauricio says yes. Okay, no problem. I'm glad. I'm very glad. So I'm gonna put away these cards for a little bit and move on to something a little different. Of course, the cat popped up here. Say hi to Cricket. Cricket's back. Her big sister's prowling around, and she's coming up here because when her sister starts bullying her, you know, the safe space is it's in my lap. I have to say, the one thing that I do not like about the Usi decks is that they don't come with any kind of little white book. So like, I originally ordered this deck without ordering the book because, you know, it's kind of expensive. The way they sell their stuff, they sell them separately, and I was like, well, you know what, I'll get the deck and start working with it a little bit. Maybe I can just go off the little white book meetings for a little while until I get the more in-depth ones. And I arrived it and I was like, oh yeah, they don't come with a little white book. And hey Jen, nice to see you. And I was like, I don't even know where to start working with these cards, so I ended up having to order the book and do that. So something else. Oh look, my little my incense is getting low again. I'm gonna set that back up, and I think I'm gonna practice with. I've mentioned I do some pendulum readings. I do not sell my pendulum readings because I'm not confident in them yet. That's my disclaimer before y'all ask me questions with a pendulum. So, yeah, just take my answers with the pendulum with a grain of salt. But I actually, at one point in time, I felt very confident in my pendulum readings at one point in time. A long time ago, I bought a pendulum, long before I actually started practicing tarot, actually, and it was made of moonstone, and I felt like I got extremely good readings with it, and I kept up with it for years, and then just a couple of years ago, when you know, I got interested in, you know, pendulum readings and the such, and tarot and all that again, I went looking for it and couldn't find it. Go figure. And I have struggled since then to find a pendulum that I felt that kind of connection with. I find that I got smoke in my eyes like a genius. Yeah, don't get really close to the incense when you're lighting it. But I find the big difference between pendulum and tarot is that pendulum, I feel like, almost requires much more of a personal connection than tarot does. Because I have found that every once in a while, I have a few decks that I don't feel particularly close to, but I feel like I can still pick up the deck and give a good reading with it, and I've done it before. I don't know, I think it was Tarot. It's a page on Facebook. I did some streaming on there. I went live and did a few readings with the Medieval Cats deck that I had just picked up, and it was my first time using it, so obviously I didn't have that great of a connection with it yet, but was just able to give, you know, still really good readings. But the unfortunate thing about the pendulum is that it's more physical, I guess you could say, because it's about that energy and your connection to the pendulum itself. So I originally got one pendulum before the one I have now, So the moonstone was lost, and then I tried another one that was, I think it was made out of jasper, and I just didn't feel the most connection to it, and I don't feel like I was ever getting great readings with it. I got okay readings, so there we go. Now it's good. So I found another one, and as I was getting more into crystals, I knew a little bit more, and I believe that it's a smoky quartz of some sort, but it's really gorgeous, mostly clear with like strange markings through it. So I'm thinking it's a smoky quartz, but I've had people that are familiar with crystals look at it and say that they think it might be some sort of kind of like a combination of two crystals that have merged. So anyway, I am going to do 3 pendulum readings. So if you are interested in a pendulum reading, let me know right now, and I'll put your name down. And the first 3 people that I put will get a pendulum reading. Stop being mean to each other. Got cats being mean to each other. So but yeah, hop in. Oh, Jen, you want one? Okay, I'll put you down. Anybody else? Pendulum? Yeah. My oldest one, I think she has Napoleon syndrome, I think is what the problem is, because she is really, really small. She's 4 years old, and the kitten is already as big as she is. And I think she's trying to remind everyone that she's still queen of the house. Alright, so while we're waiting to see if anyone else is interested in a pendulum reading, Jen, tell me what your question is. And keep in mind with pendulum, also I didn't really get into this, it's usually for your questions, you want to stick with something that, very simple answer, that's like a yes, no, maybe kind of question. I like to use this mat that I picked up. Let's see if I can get a good angle so that you can see it. No. Lighting's not good. Alright, so that's unfortunate. Actually, you know what? There's a solution. I'm just going to use my phone to light it. Yeah, sorry. Flashlight. Here we go. Yeah, I picked up this mat at I found it at Pagan Pride Day, but you can probably find it online somewhere. But it allows me, instead of having to do traditionally what people do with pendulum, which is, a circle direction one way is a yes, a circle direction another way, or a line is a no, this is a maybe, blah, blah, blah. Instead, I use the mat with it and let it go in the direction. So those are basically the answers that I am limited to. Yeah, Papa, you know what? Go ahead. Hop in. I'll put you next on the list, okay? Oh, okay. So now, Jen, I don't know if you heard me earlier. I am going to remind you that this is something I'm kind of getting back into the swing of. So please don't take my answer to mean that your boyfriend definitely cheated on you or not. Use your own judgment, but we'll see what the pendulum has to say. I have had some interesting results with the pendulum before. So let's see. So I kind of got it. It swung kind of in an initial no, but then it kind of started doing more of a rephrase, will not answer. Um, Kind of leaning towards it. It said no, so take it with a grain of salt because it did start swinging towards will not answer, um, which that could possibly also come down to one of the things I've noticed that there's a lot of people that go back and forth whether or not it's ethically okay, like with tarot and stuff like that, to ask questions about other people and what's going on with them. So I don't know if sometimes if pendulum can be the same way. I personally, I feel like some of those rules are just a little bit too stringent. Like I ask about other people all the time, so maybe I'm a bad person. Yeah, I tried it again and it's still kind of swinging more towards no. So, like I said, take that with a grain of salt. Pendulum said no, but if there's a reason that you think that he did, well, people say that you shouldn't. Like, uh, here's my take on it. Like, I don't see what the point is if you don't occasionally ask about other people, because our entire lives are shaped around our interactions with other people. So it makes sense to ask about other people, and I don't understand people who believe that. But I am also going to say that sometimes it can be difficult to get the answer that you need, because when doing this reading, you know, obviously there's a little bit of my energy in it that you kind of have to learn to try to put aside, and then there's your energy in the reading, and that person's energy is not part of the reading, so it may cause it to not be as clear as it could have been if, say, I was reading for that person. That's the extent of my take on it. There's some people, like I said, that just find that it's ethically, not the best thing to do, or ethically ambiguous. I personally don't have a problem with reading about other people or for other people. But like I said, pendulum is one of those that the physical energy is probably a little bit more important than it is when you're trying to do tarot. So Popeye, let's give you a shot. What is your question? And remember, your question will have to be something that yes, no, rephrase, try again, or will not answer can answer. The question is, will I find a job soon? Okay. Sorry, one of my friends was messaging me. I've been trying to tell him about my tarot and all that kind of stuff. Also having technical okay, but I can still chat. Okay. Can you? Yeah. Well, apparently you can at least hear me. That's good. All right. So let's see. Popeyes and chicken. Will you find the job soon? Oh, well, it gave a really clear yes. So, yes. That's something. So I don't know if you can hear me, Popeyes. Yay! Like I said, though, grain of salt. But I mean, I guess so for Jen, we have a litmus test for whether or not the readings are good. So if Popeye hops on at some point and lets us know that they did in fact get a job soon, then we know that the pendulum readings are good. Oh, hey Wayne, I just saw you join. So we've moved on to pendulum readings now, and I just am warning everyone, this is not something I practice very often. I'm just kind of like giving it a go, so take any answers with a grain of salt. Okay, so we got one more person for a pendulum reading. So if anybody else wants to get a pendulum reading, let me know. And I will give it one more try and see what we get. And so for those of you that are just joining us with pendulum readings, they're a little more straightforward than tarot readings. They give more of like a straight yes, no, maybe kind of answer, kind of basically like a magic 8-ball. So if it's something you would ask a magic 8-ball, then it's a good question for a pendulum. Yeah, I hope so too, Jen. I'm kind of that's one of those questions that I'm really hoping for a no, and I'm kind of hoping that didn't taint the reading, because that's the kind of question that you want to be no. But okay. Oh, Papa, I have a question about pendulums, if you don't mind. Okay, so Popeye has a question for pendulums. So just to remind, because we've had a couple of people joining on Facebook that I saw hop in. I'm streaming both on Twitch and Facebook right now. So if I'm answering chat questions that you're like, I didn't see that, it's because they're in another system. So all you have to do is ask and then wait for the pendulum to start moving. Okay, that's actually a really good question, Popeye. So what Popeye is wanting to know is basically, how does the pendulum work? Essentially, you ask the question and you focus on it. Sometimes if it helps to close your eyes, let's see, I think I'm having some network errors. Yeah, sorry guys. I'm just checking everything to make sure y'all can actually hear me, because I appear to be having a couple of, like I said, network errors. All right, I think it's... You know what? I'm gonna go in and change some of my settings, and see if that helps. Probably is not entirely wise to stream to two different places, so that might be something I have to keep in mind in the future. Boop, boop, boop. For those of y'all that are watching, that are also in my Discord chat, if you can still see me, send me a message over Discord. Let me know that you can still see me or hear me okay. And if you can't hear, well, I guess you're not going to hear these instructions at all. Sorry. disrupted the instructions on how to use a pendulum. Okay, it looks like Facebook has come back up, but it does not look like Twitch has come back up. Anyway, all right, so I'm gonna move forward with telling you about the pendulum, and hopefully, gosh, why is my internet suddenly being so? All right, looks like it's coming back up.